Happy Wednesday.
Hi. Hi.
It's the middle of the week. We're halfway there.
It is. It has been a crazy day.
Yeah.
We're both kind of losing our minds just a little bit.
A little bit. So bear with us. We want to hear your questions. We are doing liquids today. We're going to try to be as comprehensive and cover as many things as possible. For anyone that's watching us for the first time, I'm Kat Ludwig, registered dietitian.
I'm Stephanie Pepper, and I'm a speech pathologist.
And we make up the duo that is the Dysphagia Duo.
Yes.
We are doing this evening's training at the request of one of our group members to talk about liquids and thicknesses of liquids and what and why and how. And so ask your questions. All right. So we have, actually, I'm going to grab a couple of things out of the fridge and the freezer right before we get started with all our information.
Yes. So we are starting with why. Why do we thicken liquids?
Or not thicken liquids.
Or why do we not thicken liquids? Yes.
So the first thing I have written down, and for anyone that's on, please say hello, tell us where you're watching from, ask your questions. We're happy you're here. Strength versus speed.
Right.
So tell me more about what these things are and why they matter.
Right. So it's very important that the reasoning behind thickening liquids has to do with how fast the muscles of your swallowing mechanism works.
Okay.
Thin liquids, as most people know,
Like water.
moves very fast. Water is used to conduct electricity because it can move fast.
Yeah.
So it does the same thing in your swallowing mechanism, especially if you can't manage it.
Yeah.
So the reason that we thicken liquids is to slow them down.
Okay.
Now, that's different from dysphagia because of a strength issue. Now, you could have both strength and speed issues together.
Okay.
But we're going to talk tonight mostly about the speed because we're going to talk about the thickness of the liquids that...
Okay. So, I also wrote down coordination, and you were very clear that coordination deals with strength, or does it deal with speed, or does it deal with both?
Well, it can be a reason behind both strength and speed
Okay.
disorders.
Okay.
Because if you don't have the strength to coordinate, or if you don't have the speed to coordinate,
Got it.
but it kind of goes hand in hand with both.
Right. Okay. So if anyone has any questions about anything we touch on, please tell us. Please type it in the comment box. Okay.
Yes.
So before we get into some strategies, actually no, let's talk about strategies first and just talk about what are a couple of easy things that people can do to manage either the speed or the strength. So the first one I have written down is the chin tuck.
Yes. So chin tuck is one of the things that a lot of people can benefit from.
Okay.
If you're having trouble with thin liquids.
Okay.
So the reason for that, well, let me just demonstrate how that would work first. So basically what you would need to do is take a sip, hold it in your mouth while you tuck your chin.
Okay.
And then swallow. Now, the reason for that is gravity. Okay? So gravity is going to pull that liquid. If your chin is tucked, it's going to pull that liquid to the front of your mouth,
Right.
which then requires your muscles to activate. Would require your muscles to activate before that liquid goes anywhere else. So it has no ability to make it back to the area where it could aspirate.
Okay.
So tucking your chin. Now, if you have super weak lips, for whatever reason, you may lose a lot.
Yeah.
So we'd have to work on your lip strength also. So we don't want you to lose everything and never get anything down. So
Right.
there's that
balancing act.
that balancing act. But a lot of people don't have lip strength issues.
Okay.
So tucking your chin requires muscles to activate before the liquid goes anywhere.
So is there any other reason that the chin tuck may not work for someone that's not a lip strength issue?
Yes. So if it could be that you don't have the strength to get those muscles to start the swallow.
Okay.
With all of the liquid in the front.
Okay. So it does
So
take...
if there's a speed and strength issue,
Okay.
the chin tuck would be very difficult.
Okay.
I'm not saying it wouldn't work.
So it's important for anything that we talk about for you to discuss with your doctor or speech therapist, because these are not right for everyone. These are generalized. So do not take what we say here as I should do this, because it may not work for you. Does it work for a lot of people? Yes, but you need a specific therapist helping you to make sure that you're on the right track, doing the right strategies.
Yeah, or set up a call with us. We can talk to you. We can talk through it.
Steph can do this virtually via video call. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we can. We can talk you through it.
So next I have drinking from a cup versus drinking from a straw. So if I'm drinking from a cup, I'll take my straw out.
Yep.
That can be helpful.
That can. So when you're drinking from a cup, there's a couple of things that can happen. Okay. So your lips have to be strong enough to wrap around the edge of the cup to guide it into your mouth.
So me joking that I have a hole in my lip when I lose it down my front is...
It's true. It happens. It happens. So, right. Now, part of the problem with drinking from a cup is that when you get to the bottom, you have to tip up.
Okay.
And that tipping up makes gravity pull that liquid back faster, even faster.
Right.
So that can be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that a straw would be good for is that you can do a chin tuck and hold that liquid right there. If you're able to manage that, if you're able to suck through a straw, and if you're able to initiate the swallow with it at the front of your mouth.
Right. So if you suck through the straw and it goes all the way to the back, that can be potentially problematic.
It can. Now, it's harder for it to go all the way back to the back if your chin is tucked. Okay. So there's a lot going on there, and there's a lot of decisions that are being made as to whether that's a good strategy for you.
Right.
It's a great strategy for a lot of people.
Right. Okay. So I hear there are special cups and straws that can help with these things.
There are. There is a cup, and we will put a link in after this is done.
Because I'm pretty sure you can get them on Amazon. Pretty sure.
I'm positive you can.
Okay. We'll put a link on it below the video if anyone is interested.
So one of them is called a Proveil cup. Mm-hmm. So they have two different sizes of Proveil. One would be a 5 milliliter.
I know. It's okay. Usually it's me stumbling over my words. It's okay. It's been a
5 or 10. So you say the word.
Milliliter.
Yep.
Or cc.
Yes. So
this
5 cc's, that's what I should say is cc's. 5 cc sip or a 10 cc
which
sip.
Which is this much in a little... It's
sip.
It's not very much.
Right.
Or 10, which is...
Or 10. That. So depending on what you or your loved one can tolerate, that size cup would be prescribed to you.
Okay.
But that's by drinking. The Proveil cup is by drinking. Now there are some straws that can do the same thing.
Okay.
Now if you are a caregiver and you have a loved one that you're feeding, you can do that with a regular straw and just pinch the straw when they've had about a small sip.
Right.
That is a good way to manage someone's size from a straw, is just by pinching it off.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they can't get any more.
Right.
It's also really good exercise for their mouth because they'll keep trying.
Yeah.
And it really activates the muscles.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Yep, only under supervision of a therapist should you add exercises to someone who's struggling. And then our last strategy, did we cover everything there?
I think so.
Is thickening our liquids. So we're going to play with some thickened liquids today. We're going to go over what the consistencies are. We're going to make an ice cream because most ice creams melt too thin or slightly thick. So we're going to make ice cream, and we're going to do this first because we're going to throw it in our ice cream machine. So we're going to use either lemon pudding or vanilla.
So what we're doing is we are making a pudding ice cream so that when it melts down, we're hoping that it melts down to the pudding thickness because regular ice cream made with milk or cream melts down to that thin liquid.
Right. So if someone's not supposed to have thin, it's not a good option.
Correct.
So we're trying to give you a different. So I also made some pudding earlier today because this is one of the thicknesses of liquid, and then I also froze some. So it's like a pudding popsicle. I feel like my mom used to make these on occasion when I was little.
Probably. That's cool.
So this is our thickest. So Stephanie brought along our handy dandy.
So these are the liquids. So we have thin is 0. Can you see it on there? I don't know if you can tell.
Slightly. Oh, yeah.
1 is slightly thick, which would be similar to that of
tomato
juice or whole milk.
Whole milk. Okay.
Would be slightly thick, just naturally.
Yep.
Mildly thick, which is sort of like nectar-ish. So like peach nectar or...
Yep. Fruit nectar drinks.
Right.
I find them at Mexican grocery stores.
Yeah.
I have trouble finding them at other stores.
Or we will thicken to mildly thick also. We may even try a slightly thick. That wouldn't take much.
I think we should.
Moderately thick would be like that of the thickness of honey.
It moves real slow.
Really slow, like you're pouring honey or syrup.
Okay.
And then extremely thick is the thickness of pudding.
Yep.
So it would it's spoonable.
All right. So we want you guys choose lemon or vanilla. The first one to put lemon or vanilla is what we're going to make. Okay. So we have, the box says 2 cups of cold milk. We're using just under 2 cups because we want it to be a little bit thicker.
We want it to be nice and thick.
So let's throw, last week nobody chose.
Nobody chose, so we're going to choose.
So, okay. Which do you prefer, my friend? Here. We'll do it this way.
See, if you don't choose, people, you don't know.
Right hand or left hand?
I'm going to go right hand.
French vanilla?
French vanilla. French vanilla. I am a plain vanilla girl. I like vanilla more than...
I'm a chocolate girl.
How did I know that? Of course you are.
We complement each other so well. So while we get this going, so we did look at the instructions and we had to go to the jello.com website to find out that milk alternatives don't work very well for
instant or cooked pudding.
Yes. Well, cooked pudding, I bet you we can do.
No, it said cooked also. So on the box it says go to jello.com to find out how to thicken with non-dairy.
Yeah.
And then you go to and it says it won't work.
Well, that's just silly. So I am going to find a recipe for making cooked pudding from scratch that uses non-dairy milk. I'm going to figure it out, everybody.
I believe you.
Determined. People that can't have milk should be able to have pudding.
Right?
Yes.
Especially if they need thickened liquids.
Exactly.
You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
We're using just slightly less milk than 2 cups. All right. You can do this with a hand mixer or a whisk, whichever is up to you. All right. Try not to make too much of a mess because you know that's like my MO.
She loves
Love making a mess. So much fun.
It's fine.
Makes Stephanie a little bit on edge sometimes. It's okay. She handles me so well. She's so gracious with me.
We actually may have to wait a minute for it to
Set up.
yeah.
Yep. All right, so we have the ice cream maker here. The bowl is in the freezer. So we're going to take the bowl out of the freezer after I continue to whisk this for a couple minutes because it'll thicken up. And of course, after about 5 minutes, it sets up a little bit more.
Do you want to keep going? It will freeze. If it's going to work, it's going to freeze in minutes.
I mean, it should be fine because it's already getting pretty thick.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I have some water here. So we're going to show you how to do the IDDSI, International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative funnel test. It's a mouthful.
It is.
Sheesh. Okay.
And is that thick? That's not thick enough to be pudding. I'm gonna stick it in the fridge, and we're gonna come back to this after we do the next.
It'll thicken after a little bit. Okay, so I have 4 ounces of water here. So I have 4 ounces of water. So what we're gonna do is I have my phone here, and I have the timer set for 10 seconds. So Stephanie is going to be kind enough to pour 10 milliliters of water into this funnel. So it's just to the top line. Now, if you have a syringe, oops, that's all right. We'll just dump a little bit out. At home, that's 10 milliliters. Not every 10 milliliter syringe will work, but most of them should. Mm-hmm. So if you're not sure, take a picture of your syringe and send it to us via messenger or email or whatever. And I'll let you know if we think it's going to work or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger off the spout. We're going to start our timer for 10 seconds. And we still have a few seconds left, but all the water is gone.
So, and these funnels, I think you can order these on IDDSI.
I believe so, yes. They'll have a link to, I think it's a different site, but they'll have a link to where you can buy them from. But you have to buy them 100 at a time. So what I'm thinking is you and I will buy some. And then if you guys want some, you can send us a couple of bucks and we'll ship them out to you. Yes. Is what we'll end up doing.
So what it is whatever is left in here after that 10 seconds, however much it is, it tells you what level of IDDSI that liquid is.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 4 ounces and I'm going to mix in this is actually mildly thick, which is a little further. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our powdered thickener. So we have powdered thickener and we have gel thickener. The powdered thickener is a little less expensive than the gel thickener. So the instructions say, they're kind of hard to read. Okay, add 1 stick for mildly thick, 5 to 6 fluid ounces, or moderately thick, 3 to 4 fluid ounces. So I'm actually going to add a few more ounces of water here because I want it to be closer to slightly thick. Okay. So I'm going to add, this is 8 ounces. I'm going to add 1 packet because I want slightly thick, not moderately thick. So we're going to try for, except none of these have slightly thick, so it makes me wonder if they just added that level, but they don't give you the option to. I should have just used scissors. I'll do that next time. And we're just gonna mix this with a fork. If you have a little, oh yeah, one of those.
What is going on here?
Gracious. I'm struggling. That might be a little bit too powerful. I am gonna need hold on. Thanks, friend. Okay, try this again. Goodness gracious. It's like military grade.
It's good stuff. This Pure Thick actually
doesn't taste too bad either.
Doesn't have a whole lot of texture to it after.
Okay, so this is with 8 ounces. And it does say on the box for slightly thick, 7 to 8 ounces. So that's what this is.
Okay.
And then
Does it say to wait a certain period of time? 30 seconds.
Let cold liquids stand about 5 minutes. Warm liquids thicken up faster and can be served after about 1 minute. So this is this cold water that I poured?
Is it?
Probably.
Well, it's tap water.
It's chilly.
Slightly
It's not
cold.
warm though. Okay, so we're going to, actually I'm going to get another tall glass because the little cups. Okay.
Are we going to test it, or you want it to sit?
I want it to sit for a minute. Okay. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to thicken a soda to show you how to do that as well. Because I think there is some confusion about whether or not you can thicken soda.
I
Okay.
am going to do this because look,
It's thick. Yep.
I'm making
You're
a mess.
making the mess today.
Oh, sorry.
All right. And if you don't have one of these frother things, you can just use a fork to mix it in.
Yeah.
You can also use a shaker. Do you want a spatula?
I have it.
Okay. She's so prepared. Okay. All right. So I'm going to make sure that you can see this glass. I'm gonna pour 10. Oops. If I don't pour it down the side of the,
Okay.
making a mess here, of course.
Now I'm going to take this to the other room just because I don't want the noise from it, but you guys saw it all, and
Okay.
I will keep checking it.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay. So, I may not have let this sit long enough either. We're going to find out. Are you ready? Okay. So, 10 seconds. Oops. I took my finger off of it. Okay. So, all of it went through there, which means it's probably not quite there, but I can see it. Because slightly thick is not very thick. Most people are not going to notice the difference. Okay, so we're going to try this again after another minute. So like I said, we're going to do some soda. We also have some coconut milk here because it should work the same way. And then, okay, I feel like we're there. Okay, one more time. It's definitely moving slower. So there's,
So it's still at 1. So
yep, it's still at 1.
0. It's because it's under the 1. In here would be 1. In here would be 2.
I know. Oh, it's under the 1 milliliter mark. That's what I mean by that.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yeah. So I think it's just because it hasn't sat long enough.
Yeah, because the water's colder. So if we had used, we'll use warmer water next
So
time.
let's thicken a soda to, should we do mildly or moderately thick?
So a lot of people, over my years as a swallowing therapist, the thing that people who are on thickened liquids crave the most are carbonated beverages. Now, one of the reasons for that, you will see in a moment what happens when you add thickener to carbonated. beverages.
Yep. So you have another measuring doohickey. Do you want to add 4 ounces?
Yeah, I don't want to do much.
Okay, so let's do 4 ounces to that. Okay.
Thank you for pointing it out.
Sorry. It's kind of hard to see. I wasn't sure.
It's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to...
Okay, notice I have a much larger glass.
For 4 ounces.
And we are going to make this mildly thick. Okay, there's all the bubbles. The bubbles that people crave.
Well, moderately thick.
Oh, we're doing moderately?
Yeah, we're going to go like honey thick is what it used to be called on the National Dysphagia Diet. So, okay. I'm just going to do this with a fork. See it foam and fizz. Making a mess here because it won't come out.
Oh, that's not as bad as the stuff they use in hospitals.
Well,
but typically it would make it,
and it's fizzing really well.
Okay, so we could have used a smaller glass.
So why don't we try it again with the gel thickener and see what happens.
Gel thickener you have to shake, or we could use my machine.
I think it works with a fork. I used to teach people in the nursing home to do it with a fork.
Oh. And it worked?
It works. Okay. Yeah. I got clumps in here.
Well,
so this is problematic.
Well, so then we're gonna...
Yep. Okay.
That's why this thing, keep an eye out at like TJ Maxx or Home Goods.
I think Walmart carries them now.
Sometimes you can find these.
Okay.
It's definitely not.
It's still got clumps in it.
Well, it's definitely not moderately thick yet. It's mixed.
I also got it everywhere when I shook it out of there. So, yep. So we're gonna give that a minute. Good, good. Okay. Shall we try this one again? So, I don't know if you can see this. So this was our, and it's like sticking in between the tines of the fork. It's moving a little bit slower. So we're gonna try this again with our liquids. Okay. My fingers are in the way. I'm sorry, everyone. Yep. So you can see that it's at 2 milliliters, which is in that one triangle there. So this is considered
slightly thick.
Slightly thick, yes. So, and then it takes a while to get the last little bit out of there.
Because it doesn't have the pressure of gravity.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to pour this in this glass.
Slightly thick. So we have water.
Level 0.
Level 0. We have slightly thick, which we made with Pura Thick.
In 8 ounces. It says 7 to 8 ounces of liquid. We're going to skip one.
Right.
And we're going to do...
You want to try this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's try some coconut milk. Let's see what level this is at.
So we're going to do...
I have my guesses.
You have your guesses. So the box says for mildly thick to use 5 to 6 ounces. So there's a range on these instructions because every liquid acts a little bit differently.
See, this is probably slightly thick.
Already?
Already.
Shall we test it?
Yes. Let me get my 5 to 6.
Okay.
I'll go 6.
All right. Yep. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So here we are with our coconut milk. So the coconut milk does have fat in it.
And I think that's what's helping it to be just a little bit thick. I'm guessing it's going to be slightly thick.
Okay, so starting the timer. It's moving pretty quick.
Yes, it is. I'm so wrong. It is thin.
All right. The coconut milk is thin.
But it's heavier. So it's because of the fat in it. So it is considered thin, so it would be considered a thin liquid. Mm-hmm. But it has a little more consistency to it.
Yep. A little more texture.
It's heavier.
Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. I'm going to cut. I'm going to try not to get this everywhere this time.
Do you want a big cup and we can just have them lined up? Or do you want to do it in one of those?
Yeah, let's do it in one of those.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's all of this, right? You want all of it?
All of it. It might not fit, actually.
No, but I've got to go check the ice cream.
I'll be gentle. I'll try not to. I want to make sure everyone can see with where our camera's at. Okay.
Do you believe me that our ice cream is done?
Is it?
It's done.
Okay. So this is great because we can have a frozen. I'm so glad we can have fun with this.
We need a bigger glass.
We need a bigger glass. Hold, please. I'm just going to dump it all out so I don't lose it everywhere else. I should have known I couldn't get away with using all the little glasses. Okay.
So, note to self
I'm going to grab a towel.
and to everyone else, use a big enough glass to give you space to stir or mix
Or make a mess.
and make a mess.
You know, it's fun.
That's what dish rags are for, right?
Yes. Yes, of course. Okay.
What were we trying to make this at?
We were trying to do this at level 2. So we have level 3, and then with our pudding we have level 4.
Okay. You can see that it's thicker just by the way it's mixing.
Okay, so we're going to let that sit for a couple of minutes because the colder it is, the longer it's going to take to thicken thoroughly. So I have this issue in some of the facilities that I have worked in. The kitchen staff is responsible for mixing the thickened liquids. And they're typically in a hurry. So I have to remind them, you have to wait. Like you literally need to get out your phone and set a timer for 5 minutes, because if you think that adding more thickener right now to get it that thick right now is going to help, you're going to end up with cement, and then they're not going to be able to drink it because it's going to be extra thick. Okay. Beautiful. I should have grabbed a
So this is the Cuisinart gelateria, and it is.
We bought this for our ice cream. Okay. So it's definitely thick, and that's not just because it's frozen. That's because it's pudding.
That's been put in an ice cream machine.
I want to see how it melts, right? Because that's part of why we're doing this. So I'm going to set this aside and let it melt.
So let's talk a little bit. So that brings up the whole Jell-O story, the Jell-O controversy, I guess I could say. So a lot of people want to say that Jell-O is a thickened liquid. Mm-hmm. However, Jell-O at 98.6 degrees will melt down to its original thin liquid.
Yep.
So it's considered
thin.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with ice cream. It's thick when it's frozen, but when it gets in your mouth and the 98.6 degrees hits it, it melts. So it's, once again, a thin liquid. This, my friend, melts in my mouth to pudding.
Yes. So it's going to stay thick. So you have,
I'm just letting it sit in my mouth.
It moves slower because it's thick. So it's not going to create that speed
You're not
issue.
gonna lose it. Right. While it's actually really good.
I like it better frozen than I like.
I do too.
Interesting. So I made chocolate as well. And then I have just, of course, the regular, which I can hold this pudding upside down and it's not going to go anywhere, which tells you that if I put it in here, it's going to sit in there and it's not going to move because it's extra, extra thick.
Which is why they don't even give you the level to test it in here.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to go through.
Because it's not going to go through. So, okay, so you could just do it like this.
I'm going to try it.
Take the plastic off of it, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So, try again.
What is wrong with me today?
It's that day. It's just,
it has been that
day. We
day.
all have rough days. So let's talk about wins today. Because somebody else, I'm sure, is having a rough time.
I was going to get that.
I got it, sister. I got it.
Chocolate is good, but vanilla is better.
I disagree.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, let me wipe that up and wash my hands.
Truthfully, that tastes like a fudgesicle.
Yes. It does.
Or as my father-in-law used to say, fudgicle. So this tastes just like a fudgicle. Or fudgesicle,
It kind of has those little ice shards in it because it's not churned.
Right.
Yeah. So if you want a fudgesicle and you aren't sure that you can buy a whole box of fudgesicles and they're going to melt to the right consistency, get a box of pudding.
And make popsicles out of it. They have those little popsicle
pudding pops out of it. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I thought I had some of the holder things and I don't. So, okay. So this is amazing. As you can see, this is starting to thaw and it's still not going anywhere. Whereas if you do this with ice cream, it's going to run out. Okay. So it's important to know.
And you can, well, I can't right now because it froze so solid that I can't get this out, but you can scoop it out, put it in a container and freeze it. Keep it frozen. That will be your ice cream treat.
Yep. Leave it.
Thickened ice cream.
Okay.
Great idea.
So we're going to go forward with our soda because I think this has been about 5 minutes. It's got a couple of chunks in it, but
you want me to zip it up?
We're
again?
not perfect. Nah.
Okay.
We're just going to go for it.
So now the reasoning that there's different levels is because depending on
what's going on,
how fast your muscles can move, you may not need it super thick, but some people might.
Right. And you can tell when I'm pouring this, I have more control, which should just show you that it's thicker already. Okay, so
because it's not moving as fast.
I'm going to try to move my fingers. And then we're going to drink some of this so we can show you
that it tastes okay.
That there should still be carbonation in there, right? Okay.
There may be a little bit left, yes.
Okay. All right, here we go. It's moving real slow.
Dripping at a snail's pace. Stop. So it's a 3, moderately thick, exactly what we wanted it to be.
Yep. We could have done a little bit more soda in there and thinned it out just slightly and it could still be at a level 3. So if you're not sure how thick you need your liquids, you need a funnel. So level 3 would be between 8 milliliters and 10 milliliters. Now if it stays at 10 and nothing comes out, it's at level 4. Okay? Yeah. Now if it's between level 4 milliliters and 8 milliliters, that's level 2, which is mildly thick.
Mildly thick.
I gotta make sure I'm saying the right thing.
It's just changed. It hasn't. Well, the IDDSI framework is new, so we are learning the verbiage. Learning the words that go along with it.
Okay. I'm just gonna pour this out of here and I'm gonna
taste it.
Drink it with a spoon.
I will do the same.
It still has some carbonation in it.
Does it?
Not a ton, but a little bit.
I got some of the chunks.
Oh gosh, sorry.
It's all right.
Now, if you get chunks and they get stuck in here, that will mess with your test. But it tastes the same.
It does still have a little bit of carbonation in it.
It has a little bit of fizz to it, so you can still carbonate a soda. Now, you have to remember, if your soda's warm, it won't take as long to thicken. If it's cold, it's going to take a little bit longer. At least 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to give a try to our milk now. Okay, I need one of these. That one I think has milk in it already, so let's go with that one. Yeah. Okay. All right. So can we see over my? I got too much.
You've got a lot of stuff going.
I got a lot of glasses. I don't know that I was expecting to have so many glasses, but you know. Whew, as I spilt everything over, just gonna give it a one last stir. Okay, so this should be level 2. Remember, there's a big range for level 2. It's 4 to 8, which seems like a lot of wiggle room. You know what I'm saying?
There is, and some people may not have the wiggle room. You may realize where on that scale you need to be or that your loved one needs to be.
And some of the thickeners are better than others. Mm-hmm. That is still between 8 and 10.
Well, so I think part of it is because it is a heavier liquid to begin with.
Yeah.
And so when it thickened thicker.
And it may be because it has extra air in it as well. But there's a lot of fat in coconut milk. Mm-hmm. And so I think the more fat is, will you hit me with a little bit more coconut milk in here?
Yeah.
And we're going to thin this out. And we're not going to measure it. We're just going to...
And that's the thing. You can always thin it out. Mm-hmm. It's easier to overdo it and thin it out than it is to underdo it and try to thicken more.
Yep.
Just FYI.
Yep.
So we'll add a little bit more. See, that's thick.
It does seem very thick. So this is the problem I have with Thick and Easy. It turns everything to cement, like really fast, and I can never quite get it right. I always struggled because a lot of facilities use that because it's cheaper.
Well, and that's what they have on their lists.
Right. Okay. Oh gosh, I'm gonna sneeze. I'm fine. It's going to be okay.
I think it's still going to be...
It's still pretty thick.
Yep.
Okay.
So we over-thickened it for sure.
And
I think part of it is because it is closer. So just like there are levels within levels. Mm-hmm. So the fact that it was thin, but it was probably closer to slightly thick.
Yep.
Already.
Yep.
And then we tried to make it mildly thick.
Yep.
It overshot.
Mm-hmm. And so this should show you that there is probably gonna be trial and error, even though the instructions here are very clear on what levels it's gonna be. All these liquids have different properties. Mm-hmm. The whole milk is really high in fat. This coconut milk also has quite a bit of fat in it.
Yes.
So they're all going to do a little bit something different.
Yes.
So,
and I can say too, so I have practiced in the South and I have practiced in the North. Mm-hmm. I find that where it is very humid, things don't thicken as easily because of the humidity in the air. So keep that in mind. If you live in the deep South and it is very humid, you may need a little bit more. But again, these are the things, different things are going to thicken differently.
Right.
You're going to learn those things over time.
Right.
That's why we say, if you have the ability to test them. Mm-hmm. Find what level is best for you.
And the first time we did this experiment, we went to the local Walgreens, which is down the road from your house, and we walked in to try to find a syringe, and we could not find one in the aisles. And so I walked up to the pharmacist and I said, we're doing this experiment with thickening liquids and we can't find a 10 milliliter syringe. Can I buy one from you? And she went, here, you can just have one. Mm-hmm. And I went, oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you. So,
as a matter of fact, I think she gave us 2.
She may have given us 2. So you just need to use the resources that you have. If you walk up to your local pharmacist, especially if it's someone you already know, and say, hey, I'm struggling with my liquids a little bit. I'm trying to make sure they're the right consistency. Can I get a 10 milliliter syringe? The pharmacist is probably going to be like, yeah, here you go. Because they're a dime a dozen.
Right. Well, and you can say the kind like you give medicine to children with. That is the right one.
Yep, absolutely. So here's the other thing I want to convey. Level 4, which is extremely thick, also coincides with the food level of pureed. Okay? So this pudding, while it's not pureed per se, it's still a level 4, either pureed or extremely thick. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at it as food, it's considered pureed. If you're looking at it as a liquid, it's extremely thick. Yeah. So, same with level 3. This moderately, did we decide, I guess, this or your soda? Mm-hmm. Your coconut milk that we meant to do thinner, but it just didn't work out that way. Or your soda. This is level 3, moderately thick, or it's food-wise liquidized. So it still runs.
Hold on.
The dog over there drinking is level 0, making a lot of noise.
Super thirsty for his thin liquids.
Okay. So I think we covered everything. Here's the other thing you can do. If you're like me and you have trouble getting water, plain old water in, get a flavoring. This can be a packet like Crystal Light. Mm-hmm. It can be a squirt one like Mio, or you even have a Mio. I have a
this one's
called Stir.
This is a Kroger brand. This is a Mio.
You can add these to your liquids and then thicken them. It's gonna work the same way, okay? If you need, and here's the other thing that I will say, is if you're having trouble getting fluids in and you're feeling dehydrated, set yourself a goal, okay? So make your fluids in the morning. I start myself with 40 ounces. Do I always make it through it? No. Sometimes I make it through 3 though. It just depends on the day. The days I am more intentional, I get more water in. So for you, if you're having trouble swallowing liquids and you know you need a certain consistency, first thing in the morning, mix up your liquids. Mm-hmm. You can mix these up and store them in the refrigerator. They will hold for like
24 hours.
I would say if we would make them in the nursing home once upon a time, in the one I used to make them, we would keep them for 3 days.
They wouldn't separate with the sometimes they say, depending on what kind of thickener you use, it may separate. And by adding ice, if you add ice to it, you're going to thin it out.
Correct. So you can store your liquids, but if you put them in there for longer than 24 hours and you notice them start to separate, stir them up. You can always add a tiny bit more thickener and try to thicken those up a little bit, but I would definitely put a date on it so you know when you made it, maybe a time as well. So if you know that you need to drink 60 ounces a day, find a container that holds 60 ounces. And if you decide you want to flavor it separately, put 60 ounces of water, flavor your water or your tea or your hot cocoa or your coffee. You can flavor any of or thicken any of these liquids and then add flavoring to them as needed, okay? It's okay. And here's the other thing. Did you notice a flavor difference with the thickener that we used in any of these liquids? I'm tasting the coconut milk right now to tell you if I noticed a flavor difference.
No, I didn't. In the orange, I didn't. I did notice that it did take away some of the carbonation,
Yep.
but some of it was still there.
That's with all the stirring.
Please forgive me. I was
Indulging.
shoving ice cream,
Putting ice cream.
down my gullet.
And here's the other thing.
Backside.
If that's how you need to get some of your fluids in, make pudding ice cream.
Yeah, it's really good.
Put it in a little container
Tiny,
like I
so it
did.
wouldn't be
And this will count as some of your fluids, okay? It tastes like coconut milk to me. You can't taste the thickener at all.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it is good. I don't mind that it's thick at all.
No, but it's very bubbly. So we used that little whisk thing, and it put too many bubbles in it for me, my taste.
Well, but I think that's why it's not draining as quickly as it should also, because it's full of air.
Yeah.
Because if you
So
look,
I would say stir it.
if you look at the back of this,
things with
you can see all the bubbles in
there
there.
could be a chunk holding it up too.
There could be. I did taste a chunk in there off my spoon.
Yeah.
Okay, so liquids can be difficult. They are confusing. How do you get it to the right thickness? If you don't have a way to test it, how do you know it's actually that thick? Because as we've just proven, it's not always 100% reliable. Now this thickener, I like Pure Thick. I think it's pretty darn reliable. Simply Thick is the gel. It's really reliable. And Simply Thick doesn't really have a flavor either.
No, but can I say this?
Uh-huh.
So the Thicket or Thicken Up or any of those other powders that you can get in Walgreens or CVS or
Walmart or Amazon or wherever.
those will have a little bit of texture to it, little bit sandy. The gel is very good. You don't get that texture, but you also get that gel kind of feel about it.
It's the xanthan gum in it. It's a
Right.
little bit slimy.
Now, this Pure Thick and also the one that we really like that we don't have one of today is called Dysphagia Aid. These I find don't give you that kind of slimy gel feel,
Yep.
nor does it give you
Lumps.
the crusty, like the
Yeah.
sandy feeling.
At the speech therapy convention we went to last November, the woman that owns Dysphagia Aid, we had the privilege of meeting her.
Yes, we did.
She thickened white wine and was handing out thickened white wine. And I was really impressed. A, that she was giving out wine, and B, that it tasted like white wine. I couldn't taste any of the thickener in it.
No, it was fine.
It was impressive.
Really good.
Yeah. So
It works.
you can thicken any liquid. And if you have soup and you struggle with mixed consistencies and you need to slow down how quickly that liquid is with your solids, thicken it. You can thicken your soup.
You can thicken your soup, and you can also thicken your soup with potato flakes, like dehydrated potato.
Or you
instant
take
potatoes.
some cornstarch in cold water and pour it in and stir it, and that'll thicken nicely as well.
Yep, that's great ways to get liquids in.
Yeah.
If you have trouble.
I can't tell if someone left us a comment or not. Okay, that's all I have for you today. You have any more? We covered
good.
we
We
covered
covered a
quite a
lot.
bit. We did some experimenting, which is always fun. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We are here to help. We want to help. We love to answer questions. If you need anything, please send us a text message, 574-475-7285. We can also talk. If you want to set up a video call with us, go over to our website and schedule a time, or just send us an email, dysphagiaduo@gmail.com. So We look forward to seeing you again next week, and I hope you all have a lovely week.